Today, we're talking with Mina Elias from the Trivium Group, and he's going to give PPC strategies for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and the holiday season in general. This and so much more on today's episode.
How cool is that? Pretty cool, I think. Not sure on what main image you should choose from? Or maybe you don't know whether buyers would be interested in your product at a certain price point. Perhaps you want feedback on your new brand or company logo. Get instant and detailed market feedback from actual Amazon Prime members by using Helium 10 Audience. Just enter in your poll or questions, and within a short period of time, 50 to 100 or even more Amazon buyers will give you detailed feedback on what resonates with them the most. For more information, go to h10.me/audience.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Serious Sellers Podcast by Helium 10. I'm your host, Carrie Miller, and this is our TACoS Tuesday, where we answer all of your PPC questions. We have an expert guest who's going to help answer all of your burning questions, especially for the holidays. And so today on our show, we have Mina Elias, and I'm so excited to have him on. He's an expert in PPC, and so I'm going to go ahead and bring him on. Hey, Mina.
What's up, guys?
Thanks again for coming on live with me. I'm so excited you're here.
I know. Thank you for having me. It's been a minute since I've done a TACoS Tuesday.
Yeah, it's been a while. You were on a lot of Helium 10 stuff, and then we haven't seen you for a while. So I'm excited to bring you back.
I recorded a bunch of things with Cassandra. You should ask her where they are, because we have 20 videos or something.
I will ask her. That is interesting. Do you want to just introduce yourself a little bit so everyone knows who you are and a little bit about you and your agency?
Yeah. My name is Mina Elias. I'm the founder of Trivium Group, which is an Amazon Amazon marketing agency. We handle pretty much everything on Amazon for brands. I started as a supplement brand in 2018 using Helium 10 religiously, of course. And I grew and scaled that brand to over $1 million. It's called MMA Nutrition. And then in 2021, there was a very large demand for people coming to me saying, please run my PPC and stuff like that. So I ended up starting an Amazon ads agency. Initially, it was just Amazon PPC, and now we do, PPC, DSP, SEO, creatives, helping brands launch on Amazon, all that kind of stuff. And I actually worked with Helium 10 on their PPC course. So if you are a member of Helium 10, you should definitely, if you haven't checked it out yet, you should definitely check it out. It is a full, thorough course. Me and Vince Montero kind of did it together. And, it's beginner all the way to advanced. And it's kind of everything that I do in our business for managing ads. And I love sharing everything that we are doing and learning. We have about 150 brands under management, 80 people on the team. Yeah. And we're learning a lot every day, and Amazon's changing. And I know that it's hard. When I started out, it was very hard for me to know what's good and what's not good. So I'm here to kind of share my experience, and then hopefully it benefits everyone.
I have some questions prepared here for Mina that are kind of more holiday oriented. So this should be a really good episode. Okay, so here's the first question. The first question is, what is your Black Friday, Cyber Monday strategy?
Cool. So, I love talking about this because on Prime Days and Black Friday, Cyber Monday, one wrong move and you could end up losing all of your profits. And the reason I say this is because that happened to me multiple years in a row, and at least 2 years in a row, where I was following the strategy of, spend a lot of money on ads, do deep discounts, and then, you're going to sell 4 times more on Black Friday, Cyber Monday, or Prime Day. And I did sell 4 times more, but I also spent way more, and it resulted in me losing money or not making profits those days. So there's 2 categories in which products fall. One category is they do very well in Black Friday, Cyber Monday, or and Prime Day, right? I'm talking expensive products, giftable products. You should know your product. If you don't, I suggest that you go into Helium 10 and you can see the performance historically of product sales over time. And I think Bradley did a video on this. It's on my YouTube channel, just Mina Elias. You'll find a video of me and Bradley, and he uses X-Ray and Cerebro to show you historically, how has this product sold? And if you notice that certain products, or you don't know if your product is going to sell a lot, and you notice that there's a spike, then you're like, okay, my product might fall into that category of it's going to do really well Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So if you're in that category, I'm going to give you the strategy, which is leading up to Black Friday, Cyber Monday, or any Prime Day, you basically want to increase your bids. You know that you're gonna do a deal, so you want to increase your bids and get as much rank as you can, because during Black Friday, Cyber Monday, you're probably gonna have to decrease it a little bit because you might not be able to handle the volume of the spend that's gonna happen from all of the additional people coming in onto the platform. So you're initially increasing your bids 30 days before. You have a deal coming. The day of, the day before, I would say, and then the day of, and then the day after, you're going to lower your bids a little bit. Probably, I would say by 10%. Nothing crazy. And you want to check frequently that how much your spend is, and you want to make sure that it's not out of control. There's also guardrails. I wouldn't do account level budgets, but if you have a software, you could do some sort of automation where it's like, if you hit a certain spend in that day, then lower your bids or your budgets by a certain amount, so you're not overspending. Again, the thing that I learned the hard way was, I would on average sell $2,000 a day. Prime Day came, Black Friday, Cyber Monday came. I sold $4,000, but instead of spending an average of like 400 to 500, I spent 1,500, and that extra 1,000 or whatever in profit that I was going to make because of the sales, it all went to ads. And I ended up not making as much money or losing money. And, why would I do that when I'm just like selling more units and now I have to order, more units faster? Now, if you're not in that category, what I would do is you need to have a very focused strategy on organic only. So 30 days prior to Black Friday, Cyber Monday, you're going to increase your bids again. But the day before, or maybe even 2 days before, leading up to the day after, those days I cut my bids by 30%. And we do this across all the brands. So it's a significant cut, which essentially means, if someone is clicking on your ads, they're probably like deep. They're not like window shopping or anything like that. They're probably on page 3 or something like that. And it's cool because, people are gonna, who are scrolling that much, might be interested in buying. And what I've noticed is, even by cutting our ads by 30%, our PPC spend will probably be more like 10% more than what it usually is. But as a result, we do get an increased amount of sales. It's not the same as if our bids were high. So we'll maybe sell 50%, 70, 100% more than what we usually would sell in a day. But we'll have our ad spend the same. And so all of that difference is net profit. And so, if your strategy is, if you're not the seasonal product, Black Friday, Cyber Monday type of product, you want to cut down by 30%. But if you are, then you're gonna have a deal, and you're gonna probably only cut by 10%. Deals perform exceptionally well for products like that. So we've had giftable products that were $45 and we brought them down to $35. We've had coffee makers that were $300 and we brought them down to like 260 or something like that, 259. And that coffee maker, I think, did $70,000 in one day. We had a card holder that did like $1 million between both Prime days. So, I mean, when you have a giftable product, when you have an expensive product, something that people wait for deals to buy, you can make a lot of money. And definitely utilize the deals that Prime Day deals or Black Friday, Cyber Monday deals. And then one more thing that I didn't mention for both of those is, if you do plan on like showing that you have a lower price, 30 to 45 days before Black Friday, Cyber Monday, or Prime Day, increase your cost, your sale price. And let's say you're a $30 product, bring it up to 35, and then right before, you can drop your price back to 30, and it will show that you have had the lowest price in the last 30 days. So on top of like a deal, it'll show that you have the lowest price. Or if you don't have a deal, it'll show that you have the lowest price, which some people might think that it's a deal. And that's essentially, what we've been doing. There's, other things that we've tried that didn't really work. Launching more sponsored brand, that didn't work. Launching sponsored brand that had like Black Friday, Cyber Monday specific things in them, That didn't work. Using custom creatives on DSP for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, that didn't work. Um, and then another thing to consider is what are the things that you can do to improve your click-through rate during those periods, which are going to be your sale price, your main image, and your reviews. Those are the top three things that can influence your click-through rate. The higher the click-through rate, the more you're taking advantage of all that traffic that's coming in. And so main image, the time to split test is probably now, because you have about a month until Black Friday, Cyber Monday. With price testing, see how far you can go up right now, before actually having a significant impact. Because then when you go down, you can have a deal and you don't have to go down as much. If you raise your price by 20% now and you notice that your sales and your profits are pretty much the same, when you do a 20% off in, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, you're going to get all that much more profit because you're having, more sales at the same price. And then if you're at a 4.2 stars, do whatever it takes between now and Black Friday, Cyber Monday to hit a 4.3. Because once you hit the 4.3 and you have 4.5 stars, I've seen click-through rates go way up and traffic, paid and organic, significantly improve. And just a note for everyone, higher click-through rates means lower cost per click. I don't know why that's the case. My theory is that Amazon views higher click-through rates as better experience for shoppers, and as a result, they want to reward you and allow you to spend more money. So if you're looking for one way to get more free sales through organic traffic or more sales at a lower cost through a lower cost per click, work on click-through rate.
So would you say to do the manage my experiments, to do split testing for those main images, or how do you usually split test?
Manage my experiments has not been that reliable recently. And I updated my main image and I did manage my experiments, and I noticed that for one variation it said that the old one was better, and then for one variation it said the new one is better. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to test putting the new one up, and I know what my click through rate has been the last, month. Let's see what's going to happen the next 2 weeks. And so I added the new image and click through rate went up by a lot. And yeah, I mean, and it was against kind of what manage my experiments said. So I think the ultimate way to split test is just, use something like, you guys have a poll feature, right?
Yeah, audiences. Yep.
So use Helium 10 audiences, get some preliminary data, and then, if you feel a little bit more confident and you're like, okay, cool, like this image is definitely better than my old image, then go ahead and just like test it. Worst case, your click-through rate goes down for a couple of weeks. No big deal. You can catch it pretty quick. I would not make any decisions until at least 7 days, because you need like one full week cycle. So you can look at the average of the click-through rates before, average of the click-through rates after, and then say, okay, after it's definitely worse. Because for me, Monday, the click-through rate could be 0.4, Tuesday could be 0.28, Wednesday could be 0.43. You know what I mean? So that's how it just fluctuates. No one knows why. It's human behavior. None of us, behave in a predictable way. At least that predictable. So it's okay. Like, just let a full week cycle go by.
Do you have some tips? Like, are there certain things, like maybe if you have multiples in a package, should you show all of them? Or what are some kind of tips you have for those main images that you've seen kind of better performance on the click through?
Yeah, great question. So for me, I think what I've seen is the selling points, like the USP, the selling point being visible, and you showing that you're better than everyone else just from the main image. And so when I put a bunch of like products next to each other, my competitors versus me, like I know that I'm looking for a product. Not a lot of people take advantage of the text on their boxes or on their products. So, for example, let's say you're selling like flip flops, the cloud flip flops. So you can have the flip flops and in an angle, whatever, or you can have the flip flops put on top of a box, a fake box, and on that box you have two sides where you can write text, and it says like, the softest material on the market or whatever, 100% recyclable, stuff like that, right? Because you can have that text on the box that you couldn't actually have on your package, and that box probably doesn't exist. You're probably shipping it in a clear bag, but no one is going to pay attention to that detail. And at the end of the day, they're going to get your slippers. They're going to look they're going to look like slippers. So for me, My product, my electrolytes, if you go look at it on Amazon, it's like shinier. There's text on the cap. There's like some different logos that show that actually don't exist on the bottle. And when they do get the bottle, it looks very, very similar. There's just a few things, and those few things, those are the differences that when someone types in a keyword and they're looking, they're browsing, I catch their eye because I have like some elements outside of the product that are eye catching, and I have some text on the product that, like, they're looking at, oh, like, this is an electrolyte powder, and then they're like, oh, this is an electrolyte powder with no sugar, with no carbs, and it has this, and it's made in America, and it's all of these things on the label. And so they're convinced to click on me without having to read like title or anything like that.
Wow, that's
So
amazing.
yeah, so it's elements that pop, just you have to get creative in that one, and so just think about what your product is and what are some elements that you can add around the product to make it pop, and then you utilize packaging with text to have make your main image an infographic instead of a main, like if you could make your main image an infographic, that's what I'm getting at.
Very interesting. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. That's really good info. Okay. Let's go on to the next question here. Um, let's see. I think you kind of asked, well, this is for holiday season. So, how should I adjust my PPC budget for the holiday season? So, in general, like, Q4, there's more spend. What budget recommendations do you have?
Yeah. So again, like if you don't know historically how much your budget goes up by, what I would do is I would go into Helium 10 and I find the increase in sales, from my competitors, and I would probably budget 50 to 100% like growth in my ad spend based on what I'm seeing. So let's say my competitor goes from selling 100 units a day to 200 units a day during that season, then I'm gonna take, I'm spending $1,000 a day on ads. I'm gonna go to 1,500 or max 2,000. That's kind of my range of increase in ad spend, and I'm obviously gonna do it slowly and make sure that my revenue is growing, more, so that I'm left with net profit. So that's another point, is to make sure that you are tracking your net profits. So net profits is your sale price minus your Amazon fees minus your cost of goods sold, minus your advertising spend, and then obviously refunds and reimbursements, take that into account, and that's your net profit, on Amazon, excluding like your own like cost, VAs, whatever, that kind of stuff. So make sure that you're measuring that, because that's the like the true number of like how much you're taking home. And as that number, is increasing, you can increase your ad spend, and hopefully, because at the end of the day, like, I don't care about selling three times more in Q4, and then my net profit's the same. I'd rather
Right.
sell four times less and have the same net profit, because it's easier on my cash flow. So that's how I would adjust my budgets. Now, if you have historic data and you understand how your sales perform, then you can do it based off of your sales growth. Again, if your like, not your spend growth but your sales growth. So if your sales have historically gone up by 80%, then I'm going up by 40 to 80% on my ad spend. I'll start by going up 40% and then notice how much my sales went up. Because if I start going up by 80% and my sales are only up by 60, I'll scale it back down to 40, because again, I want to keep that gap big enough so that I'm making more profit, taking more money home.
That's a really good point. Yeah, profitability is the most important thing at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Another holiday specific one. What are some strategies for creating holiday specific ad campaigns and promotions?
Yeah. So this is, I mean, people are not going to like this answer, but every single time I've tried to create anything that's holiday specific has not turned out, well. So sponsor products ads work amazing. Every time I try doing a holiday sponsored brand, which is, the Christmas tree with the products around it, and that kind of stuff, like Christmassy vibes. Um, I don't know what it is. My theory is that people on Amazon see that as an ad, and they're like, I don't want to click on an ad, but they see sponsor products as like a very like organic thing, and they're like, oh, I didn't even know that it was an ad. So, and then I've tried it with DSP too, and that one was painful because we have to come up with like 16 different sizes for each creative. Yeah, and so we tried a lot of it, and it did not outperform our regular standard ads. So I wouldn't worry too much about creatives for holidays.
Reek, I hope I said your name right. What are your rules to stop sponsored campaigns when a keyword does not perform as desired?
Okay, so usually if I'm trying to be aggressive and grow, it is about the same price as my product and no sales. So if I have a $30 product, if I spend $30 in no sales, if it's an auto broad phrase or expanded ASIN, I'm adding it as a negative. If it's an exact, I'm lowering the bids, and I'm going to lower the bids consistently until they either stop spending money or they're profitable. But more than likely, they're just going to stop spending money. But I'm just giving it a chance to be on page 4, and if someone finds it and clicks on it, they're likely to convert. So that's my strategy. If I'm going aggressive, if I'm trying to be conservative, it'll be 30 to 50% of my sale price. So if I have a $30 product, anywhere between $10 to $15 in spend and no sales, then I'm gonna add it as a negative or positive. Now, if you notice that there's a lot of those, and if you notice that you went in and you're like, okay, cool, $15 in spend and no sales, I'm gonna add it as a negative or lower the bids, and you do that, and you're left with very little, and you feel like, you know, like it's not, your sales are not there, you probably have a conversion rate problem. So your problem is more, yes, kill the bleeding. So $15 in spend no sales, add it as negative, stop spending money on it. You can't help it, but focus on your, with your current ads being the same, that your TACoS like gets cut in half by you doubling your conversion rate, because then from there you can start removing some of the negatives and retesting them, or just taking the negatives and relaunching them in newer campaigns and seeing if they're going to perform, because a lot of the times it's like a balance between conversion rate and ad spend. So here at this ad spend, and this conversion rate, I'm fine. Now, like, at this conversion rate, now I'm not profitable. So when my conversion rate goes up, I can spend a little bit more. Conversion rate goes up, I can spend a little bit more. It's like a balancing act.
That's a really good point. You got to look at your listing too. Is it the most optimized? Are your images the best they could be? I mean, even just your main image, the way you were talking about, adding those different things on the packaging, that's, little touches that make a huge difference. So that is really good. Not all, you can negative the keywords, but then, they might not be bad forever. So it's really good. Okay. Mr. Techie says, PPC strategy help required. Selling a product in Indian market, and then I launched it in the US market. Have 60 plus feedbacks. My ACoS is 150%. I was running exact match, but conversion rate is negative 7%. So not sure what the question is, but
Yeah. Can you clarify the question? And then, I mean, if your conversion rate is 7%, ACoS really doesn't matter to me. Tell me what your TACoS is. That's like maybe going to be a little bit more indicative. Tell me what your margin is, and what your TACoS is, and what your conversion rate is, like overall on the listing, and I can maybe help you a little bit better. But I mean, if you just launched, it's more than likely your conversion rate is low. Having 60 plus feedbacks or reviews, I'm assuming, is not enough. Also, running exact match alone isn't great. You can run broad phrase and exact and auto and expanded ASIN, and whatever is working, you can keep that, and whatever's not working, you can pause it or add it as a negative. And the goal is to, across all the different ad types that you have, match types and all that kind of stuff, to find just a bunch of winning keywords. You start off, let's say, with $100 a day in budget, and you launch $100 a day worth of ads, and maybe $10 of those ads are profitable. So the other 90 you're going to kill, and then launch a new 90. And out of that 90, there's 10. And so now you have 20 that's working, 80 that's not working. Kill that 80, launch another new 80. Now you have maybe 30, and so on. And so you're just trying to stack up like more keywords that are profitable and they're working, and then kill the ones that you tested but didn't work out. And again, all of them will work better if your conversion rate is higher.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think he said something else a little bit. I've already spent over 3,000. My sales are around 1,800 through profitability, though profitability is very low. So I think you kind of gave some good advice there. So thank you for that. Bradley has a question. He says, are you 100% of the time doing custom images for sponsored brand ads? And if so, what kind of images are working well?
Okay, so the one image that I've seen perform really well, and yes, I am doing custom images for sponsored brand 100% of the time. The one image that I'm seeing work really, really well is like something like social proof. So people that are on Shark Tank, people that were like featured on, like there was a creative one where it was like the product, and then like put on the cover of Forbes, like with a magazine of Forbes like next to it. Like we've seen like stuff done with an influencer, like really big influencers, Hillary Duff, Halle Berry, who are like celebrities. So social proof is what I've seen works incredibly well, and you have to do it in a way where like there's no like text, so you can't just do like a bunch of like logos and stuff like that. I don't think they're gonna allow that, but that is what I've seen works best. Everything else has worked kind of okay, like similar. Sponsored brands in general, and I hate to say this, but sponsored brands in general, they seem to not perform that well. They seem to just spend more money and not generate sales. So I'm 100% an advocate for sponsored brands for your own branded search terms, but the second that I start going into like sponsor brand for other keywords, what I notice is it's like the people are clicking on sponsor brand and sponsor products, spending money and it's not generating any more sales. And we've tried it where our organic and sponsored is low, and so there's no chance they're coming into our listing, and we try and run a sponsored brand, and they've done okay. They haven't done great.
Hi, you mentioned in one of your videos that you use same keyword in multiple campaigns. Does that not cannibalize the keyword?
Yeah, so the only time I'm using the same keyword in multiple campaigns if the match types are different, and the it does not cannibalize, and I'll explain why. So when you have a keyword in broad, that keyword triggers 50 different searches, 50 different search terms, right? If it's in phrase, it triggers 20, and if it's in exact, it triggers one. And then these are just like rough numbers. So let's say that you have the same keyword in broad, phrase, and exact. This keyword in broad is going to show one of 50 times. Now, if you have $100 a day budget in that campaign and a $1 cost per click, that means that it's going to show up across those 50 keywords twice per keyword. It's going to, be 2 times per keyword in 24 hours. And then, for the like phrase, it's going to be 5 times per keyword. And then for the exact, it's going to be however many times, 100 times for that keyword. That's if you reach $100 a day and spend. And so you add that up, right? 2 times, 5 times, and let's say 20 times in 24 hours, they're not going to compete with each other. Like there's so much time in the day. An ad could be showing up, every minute. So it's like they're usually in different match types, not going to compete. And if they do happen to show in different times, from my understanding, the one that has the highest bid is the one that's going to show up. So it's not a big deal. I don't think they compete. I just think like statistically, you have something that shows up twice in 24 hours, 5 times in 24 hours, 20 times in 24 hours. What is the chance of them running into each other?
Okay, so Jeffrey asked, what's the minimum amount of spend needed and the minimum time frame you recommend for running DSP? That's a really good question. I've had this question a lot recently.
Yeah. So I would say 2,000 a month would be the bare minimum, and that's just kind of enough to cover like some loyalty, retargeting campaigns. And the minimum, like in the first 30 days, that's when you're still getting data, and then in the second 30 days, that's when you're starting to optimize. So within 60 days, you should start seeing like the true results. So I would say the minimum ad spend would be 2,000, and then the minimum amount of time should be 60 days. And then 60 days, that's if you're like running it with someone that's like experienced and they know what they're doing. If you're doing it yourself, it's going to be longer, more like 120 days, because there's a lot of things that you have to tweak to get it right. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be a lot of ad spend. I think you can get retargeting down with 2,000. You just have to figure out which placements work the best. So for me, it's been usually Amazon.com, desktop, mobile web, and mobile app. Creatives has been responsive e-commerce, has performed the best, and then audiences are like sometimes 30 days is enough, 30 days retargeting. Sometimes you have to go with like 60 days retargeting. So it just depends on how many people are coming into your listing. For an audience to be created on DSP, you need at least 1,000 unique visitors a month to create an audience.
How are you using the bidding strategy for supplements, and are you getting good results?
First, for supplements, the way that like I work from long to long tail up, like from long, like long term, like low search volume all the way up, because lower search volume are easier to win. And so my strategy is, go into Helium 10, I put in my, or I go into like, the search results on Amazon, type in my main keyword, open up X-ray, I pull up the top 10 competitors, launch them in Cerebro. Then I set up some settings. So I would say like a minimum of 500 searches a month, minimum ranking competitors 7 or 8 out of the 10, and then maximum position 60. And so now it's showing me keywords that are relevant to most of these competitors with decent search volume, and they're not ranked super low. And then from there, I have my core list, and I take that core list and I start launching. I launch the big ones initially, just to get relevancy and to get a lot of indexing for a lot of different keywords. I launch it as broad, phrase, and exact, but I start with the lower search volume keywords, and I put them 5 in a campaign, one in broad, one in phrase, one in exact, and I'm gradually launching them. And I start with a bid that's lower or around the suggested bid. Sometimes the suggested bid is $5, so I'll just start at $1 or $2 anyways, and then I can always inch my way up. And so from there, I wait and I spend and I see what's going on, and then I start inching the data up based on like what's getting impressions. And obviously, if there's anything that's performing well, I'm spending a little bit more money on it, and I'm basically trying to start, like, I'm casting a net at the bottom and then coming up, 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 up until it starts like catching some people. And instead of like spending up here and then I'm like, damn, like this is spending too much money, it's not profitable, and lowering the bids, I start at the bottom and work my way up. And then as I stack the long tail ones, it's easier to launch the bigger ones because they're going to be more costly, but they'll balance out because they will drive a lot of traffic. But you should have like a decent amount of sales that are profitable coming in first, and then it will work a lot better than if you just start with the broad keywords. And yeah, that gets me pretty good results. We're like looking for negative keywords very frequently, making sure that any keyword that spends a certain amount of money with no sales is added as negative, like if it's an auto broad phrase or expanded ASIN. And then any keyword that's like underperforming, bids are lowered, and we're constantly launching new keywords and testing new keywords out. So going through the search term report, twice a week, identifying any search term that converted profitably that we're not currently running. I'm not negativing it or anything. I'm just taking it out, putting it in its own campaign in different match types to try and double down on those keywords.
All right, next question. Are Google ads still effective?
Yeah, I would say Google ads are still effective, definitely. I think if you're trying to drive cold Google ads to Amazon, because you have a lack of attribution, it's very hard to optimize. I wouldn't necessarily put my money there before maximizing PPC and DSP.
Can you elaborate a little bit more on the strategy for a rank? Do you have to put in specific keywords on your Google ads in order to rank on Amazon for those? Or does it just sending Google traffic allow all your keywords to increase an organic rank? Like what is the strategy for that?
Yeah, so the strategy is individual keywords. So it's like we'll set up a keyword in its own campaign and we'll drive traffic to Amazon, and we're noticing that the rank of that keyword for us organically goes up, and we're tracking it in the search query performance report. In terms of like all of everything ranking higher, that works well when we're using influencers. So we've done a strategy where we've hit up a bunch of influencers. Like I'm actually going to do this for my new product that I'm launching on Amazon. It's like a packets version of my electrolytes, but basically I'm giving it away to 100 different influencers. And what we've seen is like brands that have done that they've given it away to influencers on TikTok, and they've like posted about it and made good content, and then people are like looking up the brand name and looking it on Amazon. Like that's really helped improve organic rank across the board.
That's amazing. Okay, so what's the best way to choose initial bids?
Yeah, so start with suggested bid, and if the suggested bid's too high, just start lower and then work your way up. There's like no science behind this. You're never going to nail it. You're just going to start somewhere, and then you're going to have to optimize over time until you hit the sweet spot. But I would rather you start lower and work your way up, because if you start higher, you're just spending a lot more money faster.
Next one, should broad and phrase match be used in campaigns throughout the product lifetime, I think is what that is.
Product. Okay, so should broad and phrase match type? Yeah, broad and phrase match types should be used forever. They're like different types of keywords. So you have one keyword and you have different match types, and those different match types perform differently. So it's like that's just how it is. Like the you can have a electrolyte powder broad, electrolyte powder exact, and electrolyte powder broad could do amazing because inside of electrolyte powder broad there's 40 keywords. You have negative 10 of them that are not doing well, and then there's 30 of them that are doing good. And then electrolyte powder exact is just that one keyword, and you've optimized the bid as much as you can, and it's doing okay, but it's spending too much money, and ACoS is high, etc., etc. So you should always use phrase and broad. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. And we have some continuation for the one earlier who had 150% ACoS, -7% conversion rate. He said, tacos are 125% current sales, 2 orders a day. Category gift bags. I need PPC strategy for the current situation. In Helium 10, I see my rank is poor for major keywords I am tracking.
It looks like to me it's more likely a conversion rate problem. When I see tacos that high, it's not going to be because if your tacos is that high, then great. Like pause all your keywords and only keep the ones that are profitable. And if if the ones that are profitable aren't even making you 2 sales a day, then yeah, you have a conversion problem. So because if you fix your conversion rate, then your 125 tacos could become 50% tacos, and then you'll have more opportunity to get launch more keywords, and some of them be more profitable, which will drop your tacos even further. But it seems as of right now, it's probably a conversion rate problem. While you fix your conversion rate, what should you do for PPC? I would say go after a bunch of long tail keywords. Start with a very low bid and work your way up slowly, and try and catch some profitable keywords. That's all you can do. There's not much else that you can do, right? It's because at the end of the day, you're launching different keywords, you're testing different keywords. Some of them need to convert, and it's up to your conversion rate.
Awesome. I think that's actually the last of the questions here. So, and we're about, almost at 40 minutes. So we've definitely had a pretty good episode here. So thank you so much for joining us on this live. We really appreciate you coming and giving all this expert advice. I think you just dropped so much information here, so many good tactics that people can start taking into, especially these holiday season times, to help, maybe not overspend and to be more profitable. So thank you so much again for joining, and we'll see you again, hopefully another time on TACoS Tuesday, and we'll see you later.